Hi guys, this is your man Oscar RC, your host on PK's Corner Chat. Guys, I'm looking forward to be engaging with different pastors' kids from different walks of lives as we engage on their life stories. Let's dive into what happens into the homes and the lives of PKs, and I believe that it's going to be an amazing conversation with various guests that are coming through. So do tune in every week as we throw in one episode every week. So guys, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and make sure that you don't miss and many other big things that are coming through. So I'm looking forward to always being engaging with you guys. Send your questions. If you've got somebody that you'd want us to host on this show, please just send us their name. Let's reach out to them and let's bring them in and we can be able to engage with them. Cheers. Cheers.
Yeah, so like I said, after I moved out, that's when I realized, you don't have to go to church on a Sunday. Then I started actually missing going to church. In as much as the time I was going every Sunday, I didn't exactly know what it meant. Later on, I think a few months later, I realized no, actually I miss going.
That makes me to remember one incident we had at a conference. We were sent out to buy some grocery stuff. By the time we came back, people had finished eating lunch. Now we go to ask, we didn't have food. The next thing people saying, these pastor's kids are a problem. And I know I got so angry.
So guys, that's the last born. He's not yet married, but you better be a white man, then we can talk. Hi guys, here we are. This is our first episode and I'm so excited that I've got my siblings on the row here and we're going to talk about our lives as PKs. Quite an interesting time that we're going to have and I'm looking forward to it. So just a flip, introduction to our background before I allow them to introduce themselves. And maybe for now you can guess who is the eldest, who's the youngest between these four guys here. But yeah, so this is the flip of this whole thing, right? 1985, our dad became a pastor, officially ordained when he finished his school in UK and stuff for pastoring. He got his license and he was back in Harare. They ordained him. So the firstborn was just a year old, but at that time, actually, he was so much involved in church stuff, youth leader, and all those things going on. So by the time that he got married to mom in 1983, he was already fully involved in church stuff, like ministry stuff and traveling and all those things that were happening. So comes the firstborn. She's born into this Christian family and this whole thing is happening. Come the second-born. By the time the third-born came, they were leading a church at Mbare PHC. And 1992 going into 93, our dad became the national leader for Pentecostal Holiness Church in Zimbabwe through until 1998. So there was so much commitment that they were invested in terms of church-wise. Our mom became the national leader for women, for the church, for quite a number of years, I think until around 2000, going into 2002 there. So there was so much invested in ministry. So we're gonna dive into how, growing up in that space, what did it mean and what did it do to each and every one of us? We've got our different experiences, with that type of a background. The movements of staying at church, moving to our place, moving, one location to another, with our different age. Each one moved from staying in one house to another more than the other. And they will take us through that and how it impacted. So guys, I'm going to start with the one next to me. Introduce yourself. They're going to just introduce themselves and everybody gets to know you guys as we dive into it.
Okay, so my name is Charlene. My name is Charlene Rukudzo Chatendoka, and I'm the last born.
Oh, I see. This is the last born. So, guys, that's the last born. He's not yet married, but you better be a white man, then we can talk.
Hi all, my name is Oswald Chatendauka. I'm the only one with one name. I don't know why. I have to find out also why I've got one name, unlike the other three siblings. I'm happily married with 2 kids. My wife is here, but unfortunately you can't see her, but she's here to support me emotionally. Thank you.
Awesome, big bro.
How are you all there? My name is Salome Rumbidzai Chetendoka. Being the firstborn, the deputy parent to these 3, it was not easy. We had our fights up and there, but we thank God.
Yeah. Well, amazing. Let me just start with you because you will have quite a lot to tell us. Some things that we don't know, some things that we don't know. Born in 1984. Okay, so that's 1984. And parents are already in ministry. You're not born in church. You're born in a hospital. And then you are going to church the whole of your life. People have a tendency of saying, I was born in church. No one was born in church. But you've been going to church all your life. What did that mean growing up in that time? I think between the two of you guys, it's a 2-year gap. But what did that mean as you begin to grow, knowing that your parents are pastors and leading people and all that? How was that experience for you?
That journey was not easy because people expect a lot from the parents, pastors' kids, of which we are all human. That's one thing people forget. Whenever you do something, people think, but we're the pastor's kid. But like seriously, I'm just a kid. So you have to be a role model to the people that are being led by our parents. So that's how we grow up. You have to check what you are doing. We're going to church, you are dressed up. You have to set an example. You're going for a youth conference. Everywhere you are going, people are looking at you. But we thank God we sailed on and it helped us.
But individually, because I hear you very well, and that's, I think all of us, we have pressure. All PKs out there will talk about that pressure of everybody wants you to pastor them while you're a kid. Like, no, I normally used to say, guys, I'm not the one who is a pastor. It's my parents who are pastors, not me, So there's so much demanded of you. But maybe 1 or 2, like personal, that's Salome's experience that you can tell us.
That makes me to remember one incident we had at a conference. We were sent out to buy some grocery stuff. By the time we came back, people had finished eating lunch. Now we go to ask, we didn't have food. The next thing people saying, these pastors' kids are a problem. And I know I got so angry. And I told them, you know what? I did not apply to be a pastor's kid. I said I'm hungry, I need food. If it means removing my parents from being pastors for me to eat, please do so. Because I was so frustrated. So sometimes I'll get so angry that these people do not understand us. They just have to treat us like children, like all the other people, because we are just all humans. But people have all their standards that you have to maintain.
Oh, awesome, big bro. Jump in, man. Tell us your story.
I'm gonna crawl in on this one.
Okay, crawl in.
Well, I vividly remember those years way back. And I think the first 20 years of my life, I only knew that Sunday you're supposed to wake up and go to church. That was it. That was given. You don't wake up and you spend the whole day at home
no
or
option.
visit anyone. Sunday you wake up, you bath, you have your breakfast, you go to church. Basically I only realized that you can actually live life on a Sunday normally when I actually had moved out of home and I was staying on my own by that time. Yeah, that's one of the things that I thought like, oh, okay, wow, so there's another world out there on a Sunday. Just because I was a pastor's kid, basically everyone had to just tag along with the parents to church. which was also a good thing because there's values that you learn as a Christian being brought up in a Christian family. There are a lot of positives basically that we've taken now as we've grown up, as we've matured into having also our own families. Yeah, there's a lot we've learned, but there's also a downside to it. You know, there was a lot of times when you could not sleep in your own bed. There were days when you could
Talk
not
about that.
eat meat, but while the people that just barged in and come in without any notice, they take all your meat basically, and you end up having to eat your pap without meat. And back then things were not as easy, I think, as it is now. Having a plate of food at night was something that you always had to be thankful of, because growing up wasn't easy.
Yeah.
As much as the parents were pastors, but we had also financial issues, I think, just like any other family. So being brought up in that space also, there was a lot of things that we experienced, but I think we soldiered on.
You mentioned something that I feel like jumping in directed to you. The waking up knowing that you have to go to church every Sunday is no question. I remember the other day we were dragging our feet and Dad was angry and he's like, hey, if you don't want to go to church, just tell me you don't want to go to church.
Yeah.
And I remember one day he sat us down. I don't know if you guys remember. You were still a baby that time. So he says, guys, I'm not forcing you to go to church. If you feel like you don't want to go to church, you can stay at home. For me, that memory, got stuck with me. But that conversation, what did it mean to you? And going on to what you say, when you moved from home and you discovered you can wake up on a Sunday morning and don't go to church, but still become a person, and still have a life. What did that experience, mean to you? Was there a time where going to church for you was a thing of because parents are going to church? And when did it become a thing where you say, I want to go to church today?
Well, first let me start with that conversation we had with him. I'm not, up until now, I'm not sure if he meant it or he was just frustrated that we kept being going to church late because we were always late. Yeah, like you said, dragging our feet, because it's not something that I think at that time we knew exactly what we were doing. So it was just like, okay, it's like going to school. Monday to Friday you're supposed to go to school, but there are days when you felt like, no, but today I don't feel like it. But then you're not sick, so you expected to basically go to school. So I'm not sure, in that space what exactly it meant, but I thought it was just out of frustration. Surely you would want everyone to be at church with him, because if one of us was not there, I think everyone would want to know, like, did you visit your grandmother? Are you visiting someone? Are you sick? So probably it was just out of frustration, just to push us a bit, to ensure that every time we wake up on time and get to church on time. And then the second question, sorry.
You're going now into the time of you are now in control of your life. The independence has come, and going to church became your own choice to make. How was that experience when you now tested waking up on a Sunday morning and I didn't go to church today? But I'm still a human being, You and I will have our own experiences of running away before church comes to an end to go and watch soccer. Yeah. We had those experiences, So now you've got the liberty to wake up and be at home and wait for the soccer match that you want to watch. How is that, like, comparing the two chapters or the two phases?
Well, if I had an option, I think I would choose to have watched my soccer match, and then probably when there's no soccer match, I'll go to church.
Right.
I think it would have been fair, if I can use that word, to have that kind of freedom. Then you can at least choose. You can make your own decision. As much as we were young, also, but I think by that time we just needed guidance, just to be told what does it mean to go to church, what does it help you. Of course, we used to have those conversations here and there, but when you're still young, it feels like you're just being pushed, because that's your mom, that's your dad. If they tell you to go and run outside for no reason, most of the time you'll just go and run outside because it's an instruction from your parents. But I'll say after I grew up, basically when I started staying on my own, I realized, going to church, there are certain things that you learn. There are certain values. There are certain people also that you meet that you can also talk to. It's not just about going to pray there. You can also, meet up with other people that can help you in your own life. But it was I would say it was difficult, because after I managed to basically start staying on my own and realizing all those things, I got a lot of sense of freedom. At least I could make my own decision on what do I really want to do with my life with regards to Christianity.
Great, that's amazing. Charlene, what's your story? The crybaby.
Okay, so being a PK and close to being an AMA 2000 is not easy, because there is a huge gap between me and my other siblings, and people expect a lot from you as a PK. And personally, I have got issues with people from church because of my dress sense, and you can tell by the hairstyle and all that. So people are so judgmental, but you need to understand that going to church, it has got nothing to do with your relationship with God, because you can go to church just being a member, but you deep down you're not even a Christian. You don't even have a relationship with God. And also the way you dress or the way you talk, it has got nothing to do with your relationship with God as well. So yeah, my journey is kind of different from yours, guys, because you experienced the most while mom and dad were still together. And also during my childhood, I spent most of my time with our grandmother. Yeah, so I really don't know what happened to you guys. Yeah, but and also with our grandmother, she was also a church leader as well. Yeah. So even if I was with her, people expected a lot from me as well. You need to participate in children's service, the youth, and everything. And some of the times you won't be feeling like doing it. You want to be naughty like other kids. You don't even want to go to church. You want to eat in church, you want to sleep, but you can't do that because your parents or your grandmother is a leader. So I feel like the expectations were just too high. Actually, they are still high even up to now, but people need to understand that we are all humans, guys. We are all humans.
Yeah, you know when you talk of expectation and in your context, though, you're bringing it up where you have to participate. I remember when you used to do dramas, I'll get the main, that main act. If it's the center of attraction. If it's the Joseph drama, you are the Joseph. If it's the Jesus drama, you are the Jesus. So it becomes very, very, very tricky. But guys, let's talk about home, our home environment. What were your best moments? We were with both of our parents until 2009, so to be different years. For Charlene, that was 10 years with dad. For me, it's 18 years. We add 4, and then we add another 6. We had our shared time with both of them, and now we still have mom alone, and mom is just busy with church as well because you're still leading a church. I know when we travel home and you want to be with mom and hey, I've got pastors, what I'm going there, and but let's talk about our home times, our family time. What was your experience individually? Maybe we'll start with Charlene. At home, was there a difference between parents at church and parents at home? Was there a difference? Because I know some, they put a face. At church, they're so serious, and at home, they're all funny and all that. Others, they're serious at home, serious at church. Just a story that I'm reminded. One pastor tells the kids at home, "Don't call me dad, you must call me apostle." So these are awesome. But how was the home experience at home?
Okay, so like I said, I spent most of my childhood with the grandmother, right?
No, not most. Let me count years for you. You stayed with grandma for 4 years?
No.
Turning 5 and then you went to boarding school?
No.
How many years?
It's my life.
It's your life.
Yes. I went to stay with grandma when I was 1 year, 1 month. I would come home during the holidays only. Then I did my grade 1 and grade 2 with her. So that's 7 years.
7 good years.
7 good years with her. And that time, that's when Dad was sick. And I would come home for the weekends just to see them before they go to South Africa for his treatments, right? So I would say I have not quite big memories with Dad because I was still young and the distance. But with Mom is like a friend to me.
Yeah.
We talk about anything, anytime. She calls me a million times and we talk about anything. So with her and with her at home, she's a friend. And at church, she's also my mother, she's also my friend. But there are times that I need to take her serious. Like, no, she's preaching now, I don't need to see her as my friend. And sometimes when she's preaching, some of her practical examples, they involve me in the picture. And at times I feel embarrassed. Like, everyone like, oh, is that how she behaves at home, you know? But that's how it is. It also shows the congregation that we have got a life besides church. We have got a relationship besides church. So yeah, that's my
interesting. OJ.
Yes, sir. So yeah, growing up, I don't remember much anymore. Hey, I've tried to close that chapter honestly, but I still have some things that I can still recall. Yeah, at home there were parents. At church there were still parents and pastors. Dad was very strict. He was always a strict man
to everyone.
Like principles that she had to live by. Mom also strict but quiet. She would just say something once and everyone will hear it, and she didn't have to say it very loud, like still in a soft voice, but when she said something you could hear what she means. And yeah, basically also at church I think she's like that. Even after Dad passed away, she's continued to be like a quiet, soft-spoken person. Same like she is at home basically. But I know she has a soft spot for me.
There we go.
Yeah, I think I'm privileged on that basically with her. With Dad we're also close. Like I said, he was a very strict person, and you just had to live by his principles and you'll never cross his path. Yeah.
You win. That's how you win. But stories like with the movie nights at home, with the games, soccer.
No. Okay, Dad was a fan of soccer. I'm also a huge fan of soccer. So we used to watch soccer a lot together. Even though sometimes we used to sneak out from church and go and watch soccer. He never used to shout about that. Yeah, because I think he understood that, I also love soccer same way he did, but probably I was lucky I could run away and he couldn't.
Yeah, that's true.
We still had to finish, the service and then also maybe meet up with people from the congregation. Yeah, but yeah, growing up it had ups and downs a lot. But the family was a family. Games nights, it was never there. I think also maybe 15, 20 years ago, it was never happening in most families. It's only now that, things have changed, a lot has evolved, and you get time to play cards, with your own kids at home, But back then, we never had that opportunity. Yeah.
I think for me, when I remember where you and I are involved with Dad, when it's sports day at school, and with Salome as well, because we the three of us went to the same primary school. And Dad would come and run. He was a sportsman and he'd always win, It's either him or one of our uncles who had his kids there at that same school, number 1, number 2. And I remember we would be waiting for you. Salome was now in high school and waiting for you playing soccer. And I think it was grade 1, grade 2. And you playing soccer there, and I'm sitting there with Dad and all that. But those are, I think life is there, life was there in that context, but more on a formal space that things that any parent should do was done. You know, I think that's how it will look like. It was not something extraordinary.
No.
And could we say, maybe for you, before Salome jumps in, could you say there was something that you could have experienced but you did not because of our parents being pastors?
I think there is. I think it's more of the family time at home, especially on weekends. I don't think we had that enough, because most of the time they'll be attending your church meetings, or maybe there's a conference somewhere, they need to travel somewhere. So weekends our time was quite limited. During the week, they were there helping us with homework, like you said, attending to sports functions. They were always there. I remember that very well. You always never miss those ones. But I think the weekends, I think we were robbed of those ones, because I think it was church first always.
Yeah,
As much
that's
as
true.
they made up during the week. But I think it would have been also good if they could make also some time over the weekends. And the fact that also people used to also come at home, and they'll be given that space that I would say belonged to us. But they were given that space over the weekends also.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Salome, the big sister, deputy parent.
Okay. Yeah. As we grew up at home, sometimes we would feel that family set up, you'd be able to talk. Now I was there, he had a soft spot for me. I remember the boys complaining that she's being treated like the last born.
Yeah.
But he had a very good answer for them, that don't worry, you are the fathers. So they made peace with it. And I continued having more time with him. I remember I could talk to him sitting on his laps, even when I was 20-something. We'll chat like that. And we did have some time to talk, but I feel we were robbed of our family time. Because most of the time we have people coming in the house, they have their own problems. You are told no more TV, go and sleep, because they wanted the privacy to talk to them. Or you are moved from your room, they give them the time. So that family set up, to me, I didn't get it that much. Yes, though here and there would have some time to chat, but that feeling of us being just alone, that was very rare.
It was not there.
That was
Yo.
very rare.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But-
Yeah.
That's how it was. We just had to understand and make peace with it, that our parents are pastors and they were putting church first. But we thank God, it gave us some values. Now we understand. There are some things that when you see people doing, even like now at church, you say, guys, we have to understand our pastor. He's also human. Because I understand the way I was brought up, and sometimes I'll be angry. So now having that thing put on somebody else, I always tell people, no, it's not right. Let's give our pastors also their space, allow their children to be children like our own. Then it helps, but sometimes it makes us to be somehow rebellious. I remember sometime at youth meetings, they ended up calling us that this one is too stubborn. But it was not like that. It was because of the principles that our father was setting. So if somebody goes the opposite way, you'd quickly caution them, no, that's not it. And you have less friends because of that. But that's how it was.
That's the reality of it. Yeah, and I want us to start winding. Guys, my and the main purpose of this conversation, and even with other PKs that we're gonna have conversations with, it's to say how did that then affect the way you perceive God? How did that then affect your relationship with God today? Could you say you developed a distance from God because of that, or you drew closer? I remember one day I'm now leading a church, and I never saw myself, when I look at the way we were brought up, I never saw myself in this space. That's the honest truth. I never saw myself in this space. I remember I was telling my mom the other time, and I said, I don't know how I found myself here. And she was laughing at me and said, yeah, you used to stay, you don't want people at your house, but now you're doing that, exactly that, And for me, I found myself serving God. That's my story, the end of my story, and my time of making my own decisions. What is it for you, Salumi? You stood there. What is it for you? Did your perspective of God change? Do you have a different perspective of God because of how we're brought up? Or you still see God the same way that you think, even if you were just an ordinary church member, someone whom people preach to, you get to know God that way? Is there any difference? Even if you compare with other people in the congregation that you're in today?
I should say, as I was growing up, I was just going to church for the sake of going. But after I left home, be on my own, and then made that decision of wanting to worship God, and with the standards and principles that we grew up in, it has helped me to understand how it is when you're serving God, how you should do it. It's not a matter of just going to church and coming back, but you have to serve. So that's, and it also helps me, like where I'm going now, I'm the one leading the welfare of the pastor. So when people start asking questions, I'm in as much as even my husband says, when are you defend pastors a lot? I tell him no, I don't defend pastors.
Yeah.
But I feel the way we were brought up. So when people to me to be like abusing the pastor with words or the way we act, I always have something to say because I know how we were brought up and how it feels to be in those shoes.
Wow. No, that's really amazing, you know. No, I like that. Please, you must come and defend me at our church as well, right? OJ, your perspective of God now, considering the way we're brought up,
So,
how is it?
Yeah, so like I said, after I moved out, that's when I realized, you don't have to go to church on a Sunday. Then I started actually missing going to church. In as much as the time I was going every Sunday, I didn't exactly know what it meant. Later on, I think a few months later, I realized no, actually I miss going to church. But then when I was going to church back then at home, I actually didn't know what I was doing. It was just a matter of, bathing, going to church, it's done, we come back home.
It's the order of the day.
Yes. So I didn't actually also pay attention to what was happening. I'm the one who used to sit at the back the most, I think, in the church for all those years. I was always seated at the back. But then later on, after I was here, then I realized, okay, there are certain things, that you need to just go and learn. And also I think it helped a lot now that it was coming from someone different, totally different people that I don't know. And I started actually understanding the word, the gospel better than the previous time. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's amazing. I think it's always hectic too. And with me also I experienced that where dad is preaching, it's dad. And you don't open your ears as you should. And until you hear another man saying the same thing that dad was saying. And then it starts to make sense. It's like, wow. But, for me, because of now being in ministry, I've got some of dad's teachings that I have. And so profound stuff, amazing stuff that you'd hear from the so-called big celebrated, preachers out there in the world. And these are things that we were sitting under and being taught. But for us, it becomes difficult sometimes, to hear, what's being communicated, because this person who's communicating the same thing is the person you're communicating about school fees and the new shoe and the new T-shirt and all these other things that you'd want. So, Charlene, yours. Okay. How is your relationship with God?
Okay, also like what you guys are saying, that maybe sometimes you might have had a misunderstanding with mom before going to church, and you are angry at her, and you're moody. Then you go to church, and she's the one who's gonna preach, and she'll be talking sense, maybe something that will actually help me in a way, but I won't be listening because I'm thinking, this woman did this to me before we were here. How can she be saying this now? But one thing that I'm grateful is that even in life you go through some stuff that you can't even talk to about with your siblings or anyone, but I know that I can go to God and I find my courage there. So I've got a relationship with God that doesn't have to do with my mother being a pastor. She raised me up to know that there is God. There's someone I can run to when family is not there, when friends are not there. So I think my relationship with God is quite okay, and I know I've got someone who has got my back, regardless of what.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. My second from last question for you guys: miracle moments. Let me call that miracle moments. We all can testify what our parents did for other people, in the sense of I'm not just talking of taking people to school or giving food or accommodation. That we can write a book, a file like this of people that they helped with material things. But let's talk of miracle moments where dad prayed for me and this was happening, mom prayed for me and this was happening, and this is what God did. Those moments, if you can just share your testimonies, because I believe we might be having, I don't know, as much as there's one lady that I who always says, she went to dad and she was in a very tough time, and dad prayed over her life and dad gave a prophetic word. And this is like how many years? About 14, 15 years since dad passed on. That lady says her life unfolded exactly according to that prayer she was prayed, I think around early 2000. So those are like testimonies. What's your moment where you say, dad prayed for me or mom prayed for me, I was sick and instantly God healed? Whatever it is that you got. If there are many, just drop as much as you can.
Well, I've only got one that I can say now, because basically I think that's what set me up to be where I am today. So it was in Feb 2007. I just can't recall the date, but it was on a Thursday. I remember very well when I told dad, like, you know what, I'm tired here of staying at home and I really need to go and start my own life. So he prayed. It was just me and him in the house. He prayed for me. I'd been asking for him to allow me to leave home and come to South Africa to look for a job, and he kept on saying, no, you can't go, you're still young and all that. But eventually on that day he agreed and he prayed for me. It was on a Thursday in Feb, but just like I said, I can't recall the day. And then I came on a Saturday. I arrived here in South Africa on a Sunday, and then the Tuesday I had already gotten a job.
Sure.
So it was just like within 48 hours of getting here, I was already employed.
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember the prayer that he made. Like he really, really talked a lot about me going to get the job immediately. I was not going to come here and struggle.
Wow.
It was going to be instant, and exactly like he said, it was.
Wow.
So that one was a miracle for me.
Wow. Yeah. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
And your life unfolded.
That was the beginning of the man I am today. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And I remember we were having a conversation. I think it was around 2015 about this same prayer, and you mentioned that you have never struggled when you look for a job.
Yeah.
If you say to find work, basically, you've never struggled, and you always pointed back to that prayer.
Yeah.
And that's really, really, really profound. To not. Salume, miracle moment or moments.
I'm trying to recall when was it, but I remember I'd already come to South Africa, and we were in a service. Then the pastor preached about pastors' kids not acknowledging the anointing on their parents.
All right.
Because they are their parents.
Oh.
And he spoke of us doing something, acknowledging them as our pastors, so that things can work out. I remember going back home. I bought something for my mom because by then my dad had passed on. Then it was a stove. Then I went home. To her, I told them, Mommy, I'm buying my stuff. I want to come back to Zimbabwe. So she had already created space for it to be in the bedroom that I was using. Then I told one of my cousins there, told him, Diolin, take that stove and put it in the kitchen. Then we called mom into the kitchen. Then I told her, you know what, this stove is not mine. It's for you. Then she started crying. After crying, she prayed. After praying, then we said, but what really do you want? Then I told him, you know what, mom, I want to have my own things. This thing of just doing small things, I don't want. And the time I came back here, that's when I got the offer of the first salon that I had. Wow. I didn't believe myself because that lady just picked me in. There was somebody renting the whole room. I was renting a mirror, but she chose me.
Wow.
Said, you know what? I feel you are the one that can continue running my business because me, I can't carry on. Things are getting tough for me. And that was how I had the first salon.
Wow.
It was out of that prayer.
Sure. Then it goes, the business and everything is running. Charlene?
Yeah, honestly, guys, your miracles are too powerful, hey? Oh, okay.
You might just need to catch a flight to Zim and go get your miracle.
Yeah, I think I need to do that. I think I need to relocate. You know, this one was going to South Africa. This one was working already. My miracle moments. Honestly, guys. Okay, like what Salome was saying about this thing of not acknowledging the anointing on your parents. I used to be ignorant of what mom does, like how she prays for people, even if when they stand up in church and give their testimony, like, Reverend prayed for me and I got healed, I was looking for this job and this happened. I'm like, okay, that's the lady who always beats me at home. That's the lady who always shouts at me at home. So with me for quite a while, I was ignorant of that anointing. But now I appreciate the anointing that is upon her. And sometimes when I'm going through some stuff or when I've got exams or when I'm not feeling well, if I just call her and say, Mom, this is happening, the first words just to say, it is well, Charlene. And for me, those words are enough.
Yeah.
And they mean a lot. And no matter what I'll be going through, as long as she says those words, then I know I'm going to be fine. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to say. And I love her hugs. They are so comforting.
Now that's, for me, it's two moments that I can talk of. I was the sickly guy at home. I've been in theater twice, and you guys, the drama. Guys, the other time after my operation, the following day. No. Don't. Okay. Let me hold it. She said don't. Yeah, but yeah, I was the sickly guy. It was not nice. But two moments that come to my mind. Number one was a week before Dad passed on. I went home because my friend's mom had passed on. So I'd gone to console my friend. So as I'm leaving to go back to school, Dad was just weirdish since the previous day I'd arrived. And he was asking me, because I'd moved to a new school, boarding school. And he's asking me strange questions. Literally, it was a strange conversation. I remember that at the time I went to Mom and was like, what's going on with your husband? But I remember as I was leaving that the following day in the morning, and I kneeled there sitting, and then he prayed. He prayed for me. And this prayer was in two things. Number one was for my well-being. Basically, God's protection over my life. But secondly, it was that I would do well in my studies. I was not a brilliant, guy in school. And I think because also I was playful, but I was not that brilliant. But I remember his words. They were more of words of excellence, that my life can turn into a life of excellence. Unfortunately, didn't see that part. But when I finished my A-level, I was in the top 5 at school, which was amazing for me. And secondly, and this is a secret for me that I'm sharing with everybody. Whenever I'm broke, I call my mom. And like what Celine was saying, very soft, it is well. She would say, actually something happened literally yesterday. Somebody sent me money. Up to this day, I don't know who sent me money. So you were broke? I was broke. I was broke, and then I needed to go somewhere and stuff. And I'm just talking with Mom in the morning. And yesterday, somebody sent me money. I'm still to find out who sent me money yesterday. I haven't. I'm being honest. I don't know who sent me money yesterday. I can show you on my phone. It was, that thing of sending money via the phone. So that's my miracle moments. As we go, guys, anything that you want to say to the people that are listening to us, the viewers out there, and maybe one emphasis would be any words to pastors' kids, any words to pastors as well, that you can just throw to them as we close.
Yeah, pastors, you need to love yourselves first, I think.
I'm taking notes. I'm one of them, yeah.
Yeah, if you married, please love your wives or vice versa. And then also it needs to overflow to the kids. I think they need to come first. Give them all the love, the time that they need. I know the congregation maybe might be overwhelming at times, but family needs to come first. Give those kids the love that they deserve. I think they came into this world because you wanted them to. So likewise,
Sure.
you need to
Wow.
you need to basically give them that love. Make time, go out, go on holidays, just enjoy life with the kids. Church will always be there. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere.
Yeah.
We will leave church here. So let's make time as families. And for the kids, I know we all grow up in different environments. Some are challenging financially, or it can be emotionally. But for the kids, you need to be strong. I think there are values basically that are very much positive. Something that you will take to the grave, that you learn from going to church. You don't have to have a relationship with God if you don't understand what going to church is. But I think sitting in that chair on a Sunday morning, listening to the gospel, reading the Bible, and also praying, eventually you get to grow and learn within the Spirit.
Yeah.
So basically, hold on to it. Eventually, you'll get something positive out of it.
Oh, that's super profound. I love that note of even if it doesn't make sense, go there until the day it will make sense. Because you must have your own moment where you say, "This is my moment," and God is my God. It's no longer just God because my parents. Yeah, Salome.
I'll speak more to the congregates more than the pastors and their kids.
No, speak to pastors and their kids. No, you can speak to the congregants, of course. Yeah, you can.
Please love your pastors. They are not superhuman. They're just like you. So even in their weaknesses, if you see it, don't make it a topic to other congregates. Try get a way to help your pastors and not to make the ministry go down because of what you have seen your pastor do. And also to the pastors, yes, you are anointed to lead your assemblies or ministries, but also have time for your families. And to the pastors' kids, in as much as we say it's not easy, it's not an easy journey, but also just be prayerful, ask God to guide you, and don't be rebellious. Because I know people expect much from us, but give yourself time. You'll come out right.
Wow, give yourself time. Guys, I like that one. Give yourself time.
Yeah,
And don't be...
Last born. Okay, so I want to start with the PKs. Pastors' kids, please be yourself.
Your cousins.
Yeah, my cousins. Be yourselves, please. Don't succumb to the pressure that you're getting from the congregation. Be yourselves. Listen to God, not the congregation. And to the pastors, please spend time with your kids. Respect their space. When your church members visit, please don't take your children's space. Please. This thing of taking the rooms or our clothes, please give to this one. She doesn't have nice clothes. These clothes don't fit. I want my clothes, please. I still want them. Maybe they have got sentimental values. I don't want to give them away. So if you are the one who is hearing God speaking to you that you need to bless this person with something, please do it yourself. You are the one. Yeah, find your way. Don't force me to hear what God is saying to you. Yeah, so so yeah, that's all I can. And to the congregation, please please, guys, we are just like you. We all sin. We all make mistakes. We are living in the same world. So don't expect much from us. And please don't be judgerous. Don't be judgerous. Please. Yeah, don't be judgerous. Please. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, no, thank you so much, guys, for making time. I know it took a lot for the four of us to sit like this. It's always a rare moment because we're always busy with our lives, with families, with work, and all that. But it's always a precious time, even as siblings, to get this time. We always value it. And thank you so much for making time to share a bit of our lives with the world on this platform. This is our first episode, so thank you guys for showing up so that we can break the ice together and begin to reach to the world. What my heart is really longing for with all this that we're doing, as I share with everybody, is that we may reach a word of healing to relationships between pastors' kids and their parents, because some have disowned their kids and many other things are going on. But it's a message of restoration. It's a message of saying, let family be the first church. For me, our growing up has changed the way I pastor. My perspective, even with the congregation, is different. I always say to the church, I'm not Jesus, I'm your pastor. But some of these things, they come from, the things that we have seen growing up. And you say, I wouldn't want my wife to go through this. I wouldn't want my kids to go through this. So those are things that happen. But this is a message, guys, a message of healing that we are sending out to say, let's all introspect ourselves and let's all do our part in making our lives better, in making our families better, in making our assignments. Just because you're a PK doesn't mean you'll be a pastor. And pastors, you don't need to force your kids into ministry. I was not forced into ministry. I answered God's call for myself. All of my siblings, they can preach these guys and teach the word. All of them, they have their share moments and their share giftings, but they are doing their lives. And God is with them in their spaces, and God is using them in their spaces. So that's the message that we'll wrap it up on today. Thank you for tuning in, and join in for the next episode that will be coming through. And we say, God bless you guys. All the best in all that you're doing. The blessing of the Lord is your portion. Thanks to our team, and to our wives behind the scene. Don't worry, they'll be coming through in one of the episodes that we'll be doing soon. And you get to meet my brother's wife, you get to meet my wife, you get to meet my sister's husband. And we're still praying for the white guy. Guys, we're praying for the white guy. We need a white man in this family, guys. So join us in our prayer. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Awesome.